I'm going to start this one with a quote real quick. Now, it might not make a lot of sense right now, but by the end of the video, you'll be able to say, okay, I understand why he chose that. Now, Jay-Z once said, I'm back before you had a chance to miss me. My mama can't save you this time, niggas is history. So about a month and a half ago, I posted a video explaining why the incline press on a 45-degree angle is more of a shoulder exercise that just so happens to include the chest than it is a chest exercise that just so happens to include the shoulder. Now, a friend of mine sent me a link to a video that he found shortly after I posted this, that was posted before my video on the Vince DelMonte Facebook page. Now, I don't think you need to have Facebook to be able to watch this, so I'll post a link to the video in the description below so you can watch it if you want to. Anyways, I watched the video, and Vince introduces a guy named Brandon Green. Never heard of the guy before. He introduces him as a muscle specialist and RTS instructor. And this guy tries to build a case for why the incline dumbbell press is more of a shoulder exercise than a chest exercise. So my buddy was saying to me, did you steal this information? I watched this video and said, well, most of what that guy said was total fucking bullshit. So I'm going to explain why that is right now. Now, the first thing that he said that was right is that the incline dumbbell press still does work the chest. And the way he tries to illustrate this is he tries to use a balloon. He pins one end of the balloon on the muscle that he wants to show where it starts and where it finishes with the other end of the balloon. If the balloon shortens when you perform the direction of effort, that muscle is responsible for producing force to perform that direction of effort. So he pins it on the upper chest where it starts and finishes. Vince does a repetition, and voila, we can show that yes, the upper chest is still working to some degree. Then he drops the balloon down to the sternal head of the pec, and he says that this muscle is not nearly as involved when you do an incline dumbbell press. Now here's the thing. When Vince was illustrating it in the video, the elbows are flaring out to the side. So even if you're on an incline, the elbows are flaring out to the side. The muscle most responsible for producing force to perform that direction of effort is the sternal head of the pec. The information they provided was very incomplete, in that if you wanted to educate your viewers in terms of how to perform that exercise to increase the demand on the upper pec, you would have said that based on the orientation of the muscle, if you drop your elbows a little bit, that muscle is now in a position to be more responsible to produce force to perform the direction of that effort. So I'm not sure why that was excluded. Maybe they just don't know better. Maybe there's a reason that they wanted to leave that out. But that wasn't even the biggest bunch of bullshit. The biggest bunch of bullshit came when they tried to explain why the incline dumbbell press is more of a shoulder exercise. So I'm going to give you a little illustration here. Now what we have here is we got Rudy Poo Candy Ass performing a dumbbell press. The angle of his body doesn't fucking matter based on the logic that was presented. So what the guy says here is we got the glenohumeral joint axis. He could have just said joint. And we got the resistance located over here. So I quote, based on this joint, based off this resistance, everything on this side of the joint is going to be challenged. So he's talking about the front delt and the side delt being heavily involved. What's interesting is these muscles are the same muscles that are involved when you do a seated or standing dumbbell shoulder press. Now here's why this is fucking retarded. Because by this logic, the relative angle of the torso doesn't matter, because the same muscles will still be on the same side of the joint, irrespective of whether you're doing a dumbbell press standing up, on the incline, laying flat, or on a decline bench. That is not why the incline dumbbell press might be a better shoulder exercise. What actually kills me here is I used to write for Vince. He's posted articles on his site written by me with his name on it, and that's okay. I don't care. You could take credit for the work. But I gave you 2 articles explaining why the incline press is more of a shoulder exercise that happens to work the chest than a chest exercise that happens to work the shoulders. And it has nothing to do with this bullshit fucking logic and terrible fucking reasoning. It has to do with 2 things. Number 1, the muscle stretched the most is recruited the most. On the incline angle, you cannot stretch the upper pec more than you can stretch the front delt. And the relative demand placed on the delt will be higher because it's a smaller, weaker muscle. So if you go through a full range of motion, the delt is being stretched to a greater degree, therefore it's being recruited to a greater degree. Number 2, if you look at the incline press as a decline shoulder press, like he does say in the video, which is one of the smartest things that he does say, what's happening is you have a shoulder press that involves the chest. As a result, you can lift more weight and impose a greater demand. That is why the incline press is more of a shoulder exercise that happens to include the chest than a chest exercise that happens to include the shoulders. Yet, I'm the fucking high school dropout, and that guy's the muscle specialist. Like, are you fucking kidding me? So the reason I chose the quote that I did at the beginning, my mama can't save you this time. Niggas is history. Who you know flow vicious as me, yet so religiously. That's why they call me Hove. No, they don't call me Hove. I get the spoils because the victor is me. You're an actor. You're not who you depicting to be. A lot of these people are putting out this information. Now, here's the thing. If you're ever in math class, you got points for presenting the right answer, but you also got points or lost points if you could not illustrate how you came to that conclusion. What's being presented here is likely very accurate, it's right, but the way they're presenting it, the logic explaining why, doesn't make any fucking sense. And these guys use big words and they talk fast. And one of the things I always say, because you don't understand him, it don't mean that he's nice. It just means you don't understand all the bullshit that he writes. I'm gonna end it with an Eminem quote. I'm like a head trip to listen to, cause I'm only giving you things you joke about with your friends inside your living room. The only difference is I got the balls to say it in front of y'all, and I don't gotta be false or sugarcoated at all. I just get on the mic and spit it, and whether you like to admit it, I just shit it better than 90% of these fuckers out here. You want the best information you're gonna find as it relates to building muscle? Click the fucking button at the bottom of the screen you're looking at. Subscribe to the channel, it'll be the best decision you ever made, and I'll keep fucking bringing it.